friends know what they were having for breakfast. It seemed to be merely a way for narcissists to tell anyone interested what they were doing. Besides, can you really say anything important in 140 characters? But a funny thing happened as more people learned about Twitter, hashtags, direct messages, and more. People discovered that Twitter could help them form a community, share resources, and reach people worldwide. As more people got involved with Twitter, Twitter evolved. At first, educators didn't think much of value could be said in 140 characters. Text messaging had led to a variety of text shorthand that tweeters use in Twitter. Users decided what in their message is most important. Twitter encourages you to cut to the chase and think about what you really want to say. To get started, simply go to www.twitter.com and set up your account. Think about the name you choose for your Twitter account, especially if you'll use that account for professional purposes. Your Twitter username appears with every tweet you send. Don't make your username too long, as it is considered part of the 140-character count. Setting up an account is just the beginning because there is no point in tweeting if you don't have followers. But it's also important to follow others, especially in your areas of interest. If you know people who tweet, you can type in the person's name or Twitter username. Twitter does not have a sophisticated search algorithm, so you may get a lot of results, even if you type the specific name. Once you have followed someone, you'll see a list of individuals similar to the one you have just followed. The usual protocol is to follow those who follow you, but don't feel obligated to follow everyone, just as some you follow will not opt to follow you. You can always choose to unfollow someone. Once you start following a few people, go ahead and start tweeting. Just be thoughtful about your tweets. Consider your audience, and consider the people who are following you and why they are following you in particular. Now that you're following some people and forming some networks, you can use Twitter in a variety of ways, but you want to be strategic. Remember, this is not a walled garden. If you don't want to run the risk of having any of your followers retweet whatever you post, don't tweet it. Keep in mind that people who follow you see everything you tweet, even if you tweet something for a particular individual. There is no such thing as a private conversation, unless you send a direct message. In Twitter, you can click on Messages at the top of the screen. Twitter maintains a list of individuals to whom you have sent a direct message. And if you receive a direct message, reply with a direct message. Otherwise, your response will go to all of your followers. As you read through the tweets on the left side of your page, you can hover your cursor over an entry to see additional information at the bottom. Favorite, retweet, and reply. If you click on the tweet itself, it shows up on the right panel. If you want to retweet something or reply to a tweet, you simply click on retweet or reply. If you retweet, you're asked whether you want to edit the tweet. If you say yes, you receive the number of remaining characters. Now let's talk about hashtags. The pound symbol is a hashtag. When you attach the hashtag to a keyword, it allows you to search and follow tweets that use the same hashtag. You can use a hashtag anywhere in your tweet, not just at the end. Hashtagging the word or topic ensures that someone searching that word or topic finds your tweet. To search for a topic, type the hashtag word or topic in the search box at the top of the screen. You can find more information about hashtags for internet marketing at the Webmarket Pros blog. Hootsuite and TweetDeck are two of the several free user interfaces you can download for managing Twitter. You may wonder why you would use Hootsuite or TweetDeck rather than just plain old Twitter. But once you download and use one of the two, you'll see why. You can set up either Hootsuite or TweetDeck with a particular hashtag search term so that that column updates automatically when anyone tweets with that hashtag search term. In other words, either Hootsuite or TweetDeck offer you more and better ways to manage your Twitter account. And yes, there's an app for that, for both Hootsuite and TweetDeck. As with many social networking tools, Twitter is not a walled garden. Be conscientious of what you tweet and to whom. Find out if your school or library has an account so you can follow the school and library. You'll also want to know whether the school or library has a hashtag identifier. Some educators identify their classes or projects by using a hashtag term so students, parents, and colleagues can follow that hashtag. Keep in mind that a hashtag is not like a Twitter account. An educator could use a hashtag term every year, but with a different group of students. For example, a teacher who does a PBL project every year with her 5th grade social studies class could use hashtag 5th SOC PBL. If no one uses a particular hashtag term in a tweet, it stops showing up in a search. You have lots of options when it comes to using Twitter. Some of the more popular uses are communicating with parents and students, collaborating with other teachers around the world, and connecting your students with other classrooms. If you need or want more information on Twitter, several good online resources are available. Advice for Teachers New to Twitter provides basic suggestions for teachers new to Twitter. How to Use Twitter in the Classroom offers a few ideas for using Twitter as an educational tool. And 50 Ways to Use Twitter in the Classroom outlines ways to incorporate Twitter into your lessons. Twitter has demonstrated time and again its ability to get the word out quickly. In fact, its form of instant messaging is often ahead of the media, and often the source of much of the news that we get from traditional news channels. More importantly, Twitter offers you another opportunity to extend your classroom beyond the 4 walls of your school. There are several ways you might use Twitter in the classroom. Click the links to review the resources highlighted in the e-learning. There are also a few suggested hashtags that you might want to follow. And don't forget to tweet what you've learned.
I made a Prezi, and I can send it out to you guys if you wanted to have the YouTube video and all that. So I kind of wanted to show us that. I thought it was a really good way of looking at Twitter. And so what I thought I'd do is just kind of show you what I've done in Twitter, and then how I use it as a professional, how I've started using it in my classroom, and just some kind of tips for you guys. Okay, so. Okay, so what is Twitter? It's a free microblogging service that enables users to post short messages, tweets that are delivered to anyone that follows you. It's open 24/7, and it's all for me. Twitter. When I first heard about Twitter, I was like, oh, like the usual, like who cares what you're doing, all the time. But it's really been a good resource for me to connect, share, learn, and collaborate with other professionals. I've met other teachers on Twitter, and then we've shared ideas and resources, and it's just it's like free professional development. I get a lot of ideas, and I like to share ideas too, so it's nice. So my suggestion is that you try it. The idea is that when you create a profile, you put a picture up and write a little something about yourself, and I'll show you mine when we're done. Because people want to see what you look like, especially if you've never met them, and they want to read a little bit about you. It's like a little snapshot. Who to follow is always a little overwhelming because there's a lot of people out there. So a lot of times what I'll do is I just find someone who I kind of respect who's twittering or tweeting, and then I'll look at who they're following, and I'll just kind of build my list up from there. Or if it's people I work with, like Kevin, I follow you, Amanda, we follow each other. So that's kind of the idea. It's like you just build it slowly. It's not going to happen overnight developing. Do you guys know PLN, Personal Learning Network? So that's kind of the idea is that if you can develop your personal learning network, your PLN, through Twitter. And so again, sometimes teaching in the classroom or one school might be a little bit isolating because you just have good ideas, but that's kind of it. So when you tweet, you get stuff from all over the world. It's global, depending on who you follow. What to tweet? I keep mine's only professional stuff, and I do Instagram. Those are my 2 things. I like photography, and then I do teaching. So I usually just tweet out articles that I found interesting, helpful, like something on iPads or something on Twitter. I don't tweet personal stuff normally. And if I'll see something that somebody I'm following, I'll retweet what they think if I think it's important. But there's a lot of people that tweet a lot, and you'll see tweet, and I'm like, you lost me. And so for me, I like it to be kind of very, when I tweet something out, it's something meaningful to me. Hopefully something will get, if not, that's okay, but it's meaningful to me, and I don't feel like I'm just sending trash out there just to tweet. I don't tweet every day. And then Twitterisms are what she was talking about, like the direct message, hashtags, and that sort of thing. And I'll talk about those when we look at my site. The classroom, this is new to me. I really enjoy using Twitter. I feel connected. It helps me. The world is global now, all that, with the students. I thought 5th grade might be a good start to try Twitter and thinking about the world as being global. So this is, can I use Twitter with my students? And so these are some of the suggestions that they've come up with. Like you can review lessons, you can remind students what's going on, you can tweet good websites, tweet their own questions and observations. To me, that's a little much for 5th grade right now. But how I'm doing it is these bottom ones here, developing sentence fluency skills, because they only have 140 characters, and that includes the hashtags that I gave them. So they, it's that idea of capitals, period at the end of the sentence, or a semicolon. So literally looking at sentence fluency. The other thing is summarizing it, because a lot of times they'll have an answer and it's 15 minutes long. So the idea is you're like, okay, well, what really happened? And they have to be succinct about it. And so that's been challenging for some students. The increasing collaboration skills, eventually I want students replying and using it that way. The 21st century skills against this collaboration, connected world, how do we communicate in that world, how do we get along, and engaging and motivating. So I'll show you my Twitter account for them too.
Claire,
yeah.
For the first bullet point, review lessons, isn't it a double use with the blog, the class site?
What do you mean?
Well, isn't we use Twitter to read material?
No, we are reading The Giver, and we gave predictions of what we think are going to happen. So I wrote a question, I asked them, was your prediction correct? And if not, what was it, or something like that. And then the students all responded to that tweet. So that's how we kind of review the lesson. And then that's something, we've only been doing it in class, and I want them to start getting the habit, I'll eventually do it for homework and stuff, but I literally just started it last week. But yeah, so it's nothing major, it's just a little, to get them thinking about it. So you don't know unless you try. Twitter can be overwhelming, so start small and build your relationships, your PLN, develop your PLN. I think it's a nice way to engage and motivate students, but again, I'm not an expert. I literally just started last week with this, so it could be a disaster. I don't know. And then also, I think it's fun. I like Twitter. Like when someone retweets you, you're like, oh, I said something kind of interesting. So that's why I like. Twitter for me has been a great professional development. It's a great way to reach out to other people and get new ideas and stuff I didn't know. And in fact, when I was thinking about using Twitter in the classroom, I hashtagged Twitter in the classroom or something like that, and I got a bunch of stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll use that article, and it saved me all this time where I didn't have to do a bunch of research because someone had already done it for me. So you just learn to look for keywords. So here's my Twitter account. Very exciting. And so these are the people I follow. Oh, talk about it. Hey, thanks. So you can see up here, this is me, Claire Koyak. I got a picture. You can actually see it on the computer. I have 1,500 tweets. I'm following 126 people, which for me is a lot. I'm probably going to narrow that down, because I don't know what they're saying. And then I have 115 followers. Again, probably 20 people that I know that really we talk back and forth. But they for some reason follow me.
How do you set it up for your class?
Pardon?
So each child has to set up their own.
Well, let me get through this one real quick, and I'll show you. Yeah, because that was interesting. That was kind of a tricky thing for 5th grade. So we will talk about that. But this is just your tweet. This is kind of what happens. I have it set up on my phone, and in the morning sometimes I'll just if I'm eating breakfast, I'll just kind of scroll through it and look for keywords. Sometimes I won't, because you almost feel overwhelmed because it's all the time. You're always getting the tweets. But you just for me, I look for keywords, you're going to get out of it as much as you put into it. And sometimes I don't feel like it. So you just look. And so then
Do you have to go on somewhere to see them, or are you getting constant alerts?
I don't get alerts. I don't have any. I don't get any
You can
notifications.
shut that off and just look when you want to.
Well, and that's the tweet deck. If you have that up on your computer, you're constantly getting. And sometimes I'm like, I can't, like it's too much.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you want. Because there's sometimes I just feel like kind of looking online.
Browsing,
I need some,
yeah.
Yeah, browsing, and I get good ideas, but sometimes I don't feel like it. So.
Okay.
So the connect is that at connect is when someone mentions you in a tweet, or they're following you, or you get something like that. So, again, it's how much you put into it. And a lot of times, someone asks you questions and you respond to that question, and then you start, getting to know people that way as well online. And then discover is the hashtag, and that's when you can, I think there's a hashtag PYP chat. So if you just put that in, like if you do search, and then you do hashtag PYP chat, did I do that right? And then you just search it, and it might be a little slow, it might for some reason. And then you can get all those, so any information you want on PYP chat, it's right there.
There's a hashtag IICS as well.
Yeah, there is,
Yeah.
as far as I know, yeah. And then, but if I want to search, I love Civil War stuff, and American Civil War, and so sometimes if I want to read something, on LinkedIn, I'll just I'll just do that, and I'll find something interesting. So it's for personal, too. So that's IICS. Now, the other part, just real quick, I want to just tell you about is the me. And this is kind of like my, people can see this, but this is what it looks like. So there's my picture, and then, my name. And then my name is at C. Wakowiak, and it says, elementary school teacher, blah, blah, blah. And then I also have a blog, and I put it up there, because, if anyone wants to look at it, they can. And then I have all my kind of tweets. It's kind of like my personal page in a way. And then I have all my tweets there. And, I retweeted that guy, 7 ways Twitter promotes 21st century learning. So I used that when I was thinking about using it in the classroom. I looked at his thing. He always has good stuff. And so I just, retweeted that. But again, a lot of mine lately have been Instagram. But anyway, so that's that. And then the other one is, I'll tell you this. Direct messages are only for people that I know personally. I don't direct message anyone I don't know. It's a little creepy, in the Twitter world. So, these are just people that I know. And then, so anyway, so those are my direct messages.
It's like sending a private message on Facebook as opposed to writing on someone's wall.
Yeah,
right?
you're not, this is just goes to them. It's,
right.
it's like an instant message, but just to them. Because otherwise, everyone can see it, and then, I don't want someone to know I sent someone a present, or that I think I'm watching this TV show. They're not going to get, you know what I mean? So, anyway, so that's that's how I use it. I get a lot out of it. I got a lot of information from it. It makes me feel like I'm connected, and I do feel like it helps my teaching, having this resource. I don't, again, you might not feel that way, but if you try it. Now, my students, let me see if I can have that up. Here it is. So what I did with my students, and this is where I don't think it's going to be as powerful, but I think it'll still kind of get the job done. We all share one account. So so responding back is a little trickier, but the idea of doing this is that I've set it to private. Anyone who wants to follow us has to have my permission to follow us. And I do that because they're 10 and 11 years old.
Yeah.
And so the idea is I have 5th grade students at Istanbul International Community School in Istanbul, Turkey, are global. And then I have my email there. And so this is one of those things that, I think you were asking me. And it says, so this morning we discussed what blogging means. How would you describe a blog? And so their homework tonight is to respond to that tweet. And how I know how they responded is that I have them do a hashtag with their initials and then 5C. So then I can search their tweets in a month and see kind of what they're doing. And then we can kind of see a pattern. Does that make sense? Yeah. Kind of? Well, I didn't want to give them all an individual, you were asking, I didn't want to give them all an individual name because then I don't know I can't control that. And the parents know, I sent the parents a letter about why we're doing it and that they can follow us. And we also came up with guidelines about commenting and that sort of thing. And I can send those out if anyone's interested. It's no problem. A lot of them you just copy from someone else. So the idea is that we all get on and we talk about you know, being commenting nicely and that this represents you, and you know, we don't do like OMG and LOL because this is school and it's you're professional, and you know, they're not all perfect, but the idea is, you know, I want them to like add the periods and make sure that they have a capital at the beginning of a sentence. So I use it a lot for that sort of stuff too. So it's a great actually grammar lesson. A lot of times like I'll stop it, we'll take 5-10 minutes to talk about it, and then we'll go back. So
Usually on Twitter, do people write in full words and sentences, or that's just a school thing, right?
I do. I write in full sentences usually, but yeah, I agree. It can be very casual on Twitter, but I think this is for school.
Yeah.
You're representing yourself, your school, your family, so it needs to look your best. So that's kind of how I use it. I don't know if that's the best way. It's still, again, it's very new, but I thought, well, let's try it and see what happens. And I'm hoping to get them, you know, using it at home and posting stuff and that sort of a thing, and just using it all together. You know, and then if we start blogging, they can link their blog to the Twitter account, so when they blog, it just tweets out that they have a blog, and you know, I'm going to try to get more parents involved because I want parents looking at this and responding and commenting would be nice. So that's the whole idea. So
the advantage of this is that you really are able to get a response from the students, where at the moment the class side is really one way from the teacher to the students.
Exactly. So this is socially, and I think that being connected and all that is the skills that they need. You know, and even if it's not exactly how I use it, it's a smaller version, and then they can kind of get used to it and, you know, get their feet wet and know how to do it well, and then when they're ready, it's like they're on their own. So I don't know. I think it has a lot of potential as a tool. Also, what I've heard other teachers do is that they use it for perspective. So like again, we're reading The Giver. So then I'll say, okay, well, something happened. Give me Jonas's perspective, or give me the giver's perspective, or give me. So you can have students also do perspectives, which would be kind of interesting. I know like somebody did it for the Civil War, and somebody was like Abraham Lincoln, someone was General Lee, like all these people. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. So it's another way to look at, you know, how would Lincoln tweet if he tweeted, you know, that kind of a thing. So I think it has a lot of potential. Setting it up is kind of a pain, but I think once you, again, it's like anything, once you get it going, I think it could be kind of fun. And then getting parents on board is, you know, in other class, you know, maybe even other classes to comment on it would be, you know.
Is there an age limit, like with Facebook, for
No.
students to sign up?
No, Twitter doesn't have an age limit.
No.
It's the only social media that doesn't.
But I thought if I did it with,
No, this
if
is
I did that,
this
then
is
they
the way to
would,
do it, I think.
it's too much, and I have to give permission, and I
Yeah.
just, you know, this
No,
is
this is
controlled, and we talk about, you know, it's being a good digital citizen in all the classes that we do with Tom.
Yeah.
So
did you set it up, or did you
I
have
set it up.
assistants?
no, I set it up. Yeah, it's really, it takes, you know, half an hour, 40 minutes, but then the idea of, you know, you have to continually talk to them about, you know, the proper way to use it, remember their hashtags and all that, and so that I'm still kind of in that. And, you know, it's like some people still don't know how to sign in. You're like, just put the username, you know, like, why is it hard? But it just takes them it takes them a little bit longer. So, but, you know, it's a good opportunity also to talk about being a good digital citizen and being nice online. You know, like, we're like, you have to be nice.
Destiny now has the ability for people to tweet from their account about books they read.
Oh.
So that's something you and I could explore later
That
on
would be
in
great.
class.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just, and they're that's the idea, that they're connecting and then people are talking. It's not just like my learning isn't, you know, isolated just to here. With Twitter, I'm out there, and then that's kind of the same for them. That's the way it is now, kind of, you know, with blogs and all that. So I don't know, I just figured it was worth a try.
Have you had any response from parents?
One parent has followed us.
But like a positive response?
Yeah, she liked it. Yeah, so she followed us. So I'm going to send it out again and say, hey, we like, and the next time I see them, I'll say, hey, you know, because some of them don't, a lot of people don't tweet anyway, but even if they just wanted to sign up for this, it's free, I would, you know, it would be nice if they could. And most people have the smartphones, so I hope they will, because the idea is, and if not, I'll maybe get some other classes to maybe try to, or teachers to, you know, comment and that sort of thing to make it more global and interesting. So.
Cool.
Very cool.
Any questions about anything? And if you have any questions about it, you're never bugging me. Just come up or email me or whatever. I mean, Liz is, but no one else is. No, but you can come up anytime. And then I thought if you want to, if you're feeling like you want to, you can sign up for an account now. You don't have to, but if you kind of feel like you're like, maybe I'll try it. And then I'm at it's my first name and my last name. And then you can just look up my account and see who I follow, and I can always recommend people to you. But then, too, if you Google who to follow on Educator on, you know, Twitter, there's always a list. So, you know, it's not like I'm an expert and I don't know everyone that's on there. But
Is it recommended to use like is there a recommended way of naming yourself? Is it just normal to use your own name? Or?
I just use my own name because it's me and it's professional. I think if it gets too tricky, it's harder to remember, like, that sort of a thing. So I just try to keep it as simple as possible. So that's what I would do.
There's nothing wrong with using your own name, right?
No. I mean,
If your name isn't taken, I've had a lot of
Wow.
trouble.
Oh, really?
But believe it or not, there's a few
my
names I've
Claire
printed.
was taken.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So,
Oh, interesting.
So you have
Lauren
to-
Graham is a celebrity.
Well, you will. So there is a-
but yeah, I would keep it as simple as possible and keep it as close to your own name as possible, so it's easy to.
She's on Gilmore Girls.
I use it, I'm starting to use it now, but there's a lot of chats going on, like there's a Monday PE chat night, and there's like the PYP chat thing, and like I follow that, and that's a good professional development tool that I like to use, so it connects me with other PE teachers around the world, so.
So can you explain what a chat is?
No.
Okay, Amanda,
I don't know how to explain it.
how would you
Just
explain
trying.
that? That's okay. No, it's good, but you're right. I forgot.
I don't know how to explain it.
There are different
I
ways
think
you can
that's
do
a
it, like,
third year.
you can have the hashtag PYP chat, and anything that relates to PYP, you just have the hashtag, and then that'll show up with people that are following that. But I don't know how it works for the PE teachers now, but we have live chat for the teacher librarians every second and fourth Monday of the month, and they just put out a topic, and then people just go on at a certain time, and then you're actually literally live chatting and involved in a conversation globally.
It's free,
But you
right?
just put out your
Yeah,
flag.
it's free and you
And
have all
the
this access.
resources are
Yeah.
amazing,
I think it's
and
cool.
they can record those. So, like the time zone for me, it's always Eastern Standard Time, so it's 3 a.m. in the morning here. But they record it, and you can look back and see what the chat was.
Yeah.
So.
It's just what you put into it is what you're gonna get out of it. It's like I mean I think of it like almost like it's like a relationship. Like what you put in is what you're gonna get out. And that's it. I mean, I know it's not, but you know what I mean. Like if you want good friends, you have to put the time in. If you don't, then you're not going to get as much out of it. So that's kind of how I think of it. Any social networking site like that. Twitter's not my friend. I get it, but you know what I mean. Like, so anyway, so if you want to sign up now, I think feel free. I don't know. Do we have another session? We do have another session after this. Is it time? Okay. All right.
5-2 is the next one.
Okay, so if you would like to sign up for Twitter, feel free. If you have any questions for me, I know some other people tweet. Yes.
I tweeted everybody when I read.
Okay, I'll come around. Okay, all right. Thank you. And
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you.